Hello and welcome to the podcast series on mainstream Hindi cinema. Our topic today is representation of Muslims in Hindi cinema. Since the 1950s till early 1980s, Muslim social genre was well accepted and had a huge following in India. Films such as Chaudhvin Ka Chand, Mehboob, Pakeezah, Nikaah, Mammo, and Zubeidaa are some landmark films that connected across cross-section of the Indian society, and many have cult status till date. Yet the representation of Muslims in majority of Hindi cinema, especially post 1980s, have been problematic. Though the Khan trio of Shah Rukh Khan, Amir Khan, and Salman Khan have ruled the box office, but it is their Hindu characters that have created their star persona, be it Shah Rukh as Rahul, Salman as Chulbul Pandey, or Amir Khan, who is known to take on various challenging roles, and with a filmography of more than 50 films, he has only featured in around 4 films as a Muslim lead. Of course, this sounds fantastic for a multicultural society that is open to anyone taking on any role. Yet, this also raises questions around the representation and stereotypes. Today, we have Naazish Fatima, a media person and a scholar, to briefly share her perspective on the issue of the representation of Muslims in Hindi cinema. Welcome, Nazish.
Bollywood, another name for dreams, entertainment, fantasy, celebration, and whatnot. It is clearly one of the biggest film industry on this planet. Bollywood easily produces more than 1,000 movies annually and has an estimated audience of 3 billion people worldwide. It's massive. Bollywood has long influenced Indian society and culture as the biggest entertainment industry. Many of the country's musical, dancing, wedding, and fashion trends are Bollywood inspired. From Mughal Azam to Sholay, from Yado Ki Barat to Dilwale, Bollywood has displayed an instrumental role in shaping ideas, offering perceptions of strong, undefeated heroes who have the powers and strength to fix everything and bring happiness to everyone. Being an ardent Bollywood fan and having watched hundreds of movies, I can vouch for the fact that unfortunately, Bollywood has adapted quite a biased approach when depicting a particular sect or community. And I want to particularly talk about the portrayal of Muslims in Bollywood. Growing up as a practicing Muslim, a film student, and a Bollywood fan, I'm distraught by the lack of relatable Muslim characters offered by undoubtedly the largest film producing industry in the world. Why? Why we don't get to see a protagonist hailing from the Muslim world and accomplishing something that most Bollywood characters normally do? Why is there such scarcity of positive Muslim characters in the industry whose major chunk of loyal audience hails from the Muslim world? Media and society are interrelated. What we see in media through movies, TV, etc., drives its inspiration from society, which in turn influences the way society thinks and perceives ideas. But what happens when the content is designed and circulated by media, which is originally conceived to ghettoize a particular sect of society? Imagine a man with a beard and a traditional Muslim cap walking in a street and says Allahu Akbar loudly. What will happen next? If we view this scenario along with the lines of ideas catered to us through Bollywood cinema, it's a no brainer that the bearded guy would have planned to do something calamitous, causing great loss of life and damage. However, the reality for me is Allahu Akbar is a phrase Muslims like my elders, who happen to be doctors, professors, teachers, use 5 million times a day. It's a normal thing in any Muslim household. There is absolutely no doubt about how media and films reinforce stereotypes and shape our gaze about a particular community. It is also very evident how the representation gets crystallized in popular culture. This bad portrayal again creates a sense of we and they in society, resonating with Islamophobia, which has real consequences. It's quite unlikely that if you have heard about Bollywood, you stay unaware of the Bollywood Khans. The powerful Khan dynasty has been ruling Bollywood for decades now. Whether it's Eid, Diwali, Christmas, or New Year, it has become a custom for the Khans to release their movies around special occasions, and the audience absolutely loves it. Because watching movies at cinemas becomes a part of celebrating festivals. Even the powerful Khan clan of Bollywood adopted a hugely partial stand while playing the Khans themselves. Shah Rukh played a Khan in the movie My Name is Khan, set around the September 11 attacks, and later he played Rais Khan, who was involved in the illegal alcohol trade. Our Mr. Perfectionist Amir Khan played a Khan just once in the movie Fana as Rehan Khan, that too as a terrorist. Saif Ali Khan did his stint as a terrorist in Qurban playing Ehsan Khan. Wow. So Khan, terrorist. The entire aspect of responsibility has gone for a toss over here. All these popular characters are reinforcing ideas that are potentially adding fuel to the fire and further stereotyping the image of Muslims in Bollywood and society. In the movie My Name is Khan, Bollywood superstar Shah Rukh Khan plays the role of Rizwan Khan. He is seen in the opening of the movie struggling to fit at school and at home. Classmates taunt him, and his brother is jealous of the special attention his mother and others pay Rizwan. His mother teaches a lesson in morality that haunts the rest of the film. Rizwan's mother teaches her son that the categories of Muslim and Hindu are not coherent categories with which to judge others, but suggests that categories of good and evil are more useful. In this movie, Rizwan portrayed as a character suffering from Asperger's syndrome, vaguely suggesting that no Muslim can quite redeem himself or even Islam unless he is mentally and emotionally challenged. The film depicted the necessity for a good Muslim to be mentally handicapped. Going by the standard, tried and tested Bollywood formula, the director could have chosen SRK to play a normal, running around the trees hero character, but then he chooses to portray the main characters as someone who is weak and unable to represent himself. The film uses melodrama as a cleverly disguised strategy to highlight the bias against the Muslim, underlying that the victimization and the oppression of the protagonist is not because he is autistic, but because he is a Muslim. The director places the main character in a position to garner sympathy and make the audience feel that he is victimized due to the character being a Muslim. With the death of his mother, Rizwan ends up working for his brother in a Muslim cosmetic shop in the US. There he met Mandira, a Hindu protagonist with a son. Rizwan marries Mandira amidst communal conflict. Their life is filled with happiness until September 9, 2001 attacks. The teacher tells her class, including the young couple's son, that out of the entire world's religions, Islam is the most violent. Rizwan's sister-in-law too faces discrimination in her college campus where a man rips off her headscarf and tells her to get out of his country. Mandira goes out of business and starts looking for a job. When she finally finds one, she is compelled to clarify her circumstances upfront. Every Muslim was seen in hatred, and the crux of the story began when Mandira's son was murdered in school by the older white kids. This was due to Sam's best friend's father being murdered in Afghanistan while covering the Iraq War. When Mandira finds out from the police that her son was a victim of racial hate, she blamed Rizwan for the death of her son, implying that if he was not a Muslim, her son would not have been dead. The film portrays the Muslim in a bad light. Rather than blaming the terrorists that bombed the Twin Towers, Mandira blamed her Muslim husband for being just a Muslim with the last name Khan. Mandira charges him with the task of informing the president that he, in fact, is not a terrorist and he is not to return to her until he does this. If this is the case, does the director demand that all the Muslims should take the journey off to the US to redeem them and to prove that being a Muslim does not mean that you are a terrorist? If we critically analyze My Name is Khan, it has a slightly distinct perspective as it sheds a different light on Islam, one that is rarely glamorized and glorified in popular culture, about one particular sect being at the receiving end. Rizwan suffers primarily not because of his syndrome, but because he belonged to a particular religion. But a crucial question that truly baffles me is that are we ever able to construct Muslim identities through Bollywood without the notion of terrorism, triple talaq, lack of education, sufferings of women, and the list goes on? Have the superstars, the directors, producers, scriptwriters of Bollywood thought about the power they have in reinforcing ideas? We had Farhan Qureshi in Three Idiots in supporting cast who brought a breath of fresh air. Film Air Dil Hai Mushkil too tried to deviate away from the typical representations of Muslims. We had Murad Ahmed from Gully Boy, to name a few. But my question is the present representation of Muslims in Bollywood justified? Is there enough balance when we know how powerful is media's role in molding viewers' perception in reality?